What makes a good open world game? And that's a genuine question because I really don't think there's a right or wrong answer here. I hate open world games nowadays. I just see publishers doing it to appease the masses just to push them into that $70 price tag. Make it open world and just take your money. But I know me, or at least I think I do, because once upon a time, I used to really like open worlds, and I'm sure everybody did. Especially when you're young and you can't afford games, like you just have to go to the store and try and sell all your old games and other stuff to try and get enough money to buy that new game. That's why Skyrim was such a huge moment for me, because I felt like I found gold. I felt like I wouldn't need to scrap for a new game ever again. For you new kids, there weren't such a thing as Game Pass, man. You just had to make do with what you had. Dead Island came out a few weeks ago and I was going to completely ignore it. I kind of just don't care for zombies. But my boy Oxtail was like, hey, it's actually semi-open world. And for some reason, this made my ears perk up. Like, why the hell did this make my ears perk up? It's still a zombie game. I don't really care. But it being semi-open world, I was like, oh, yeah, I like that. People were so happy to hear that Final Fantasy 16 was semi-open world, they were just making headlines, and I just thought that was hilarious. There's no reason to do a deep dive as to why people have gone bored of open world games. Any Ubisoft game will tell you that. And to be honest, there's plenty of videos on YouTube that kind of break it down really nice. As I was making my Tears in the Kingdom video, why I was worried about Tears of the Kingdom, I was trying to articulate what it is about open worlds that I want, or what I want from open worlds. And I couldn't really quite articulate my feelings in that video. Here, I want to discuss it further and try and break down what it is that I want in an open world. So I'm keeping this mostly subjective. This is very much a me thing. And for me, what makes a good open world game? Realism. All right, I should be back on track. I had to re-record it. All the clips are out of sync. It's so goofy. This video is a complete mess. If you leave your house right now, after you watch my video, go outside, touch some grass, you'll see people walking around with their children, people on a jog, or people just walking their dog. If you go in a city where it's just a little bit more privileged and a nice area, you'll notice that the cars are a bit more upper class, people are dressed in a certain way, just way different to how they dress in areas that isn't so privileged. This is all London, by the way. London can be real pretty. Breath of the Wild isn't the most realistic game, but I love the fact that those games has those elements. If I go to the west, you get to the sandy areas, there's a culture of people there. If I go to the east, there's a different culture of people there. Up north is cold, and for Link, it's freezing for him, so you have to adapt to that situation. I'm not gonna act like this is something new in video games, but I do think Breath of the Wild and GTA 5 are games that do it exceedingly well. If you're gonna have a big map, then at least have those areas where it gives you a complete different vibe, different aesthetic. And of course, Red Dead Redemption 2 does this very well, but we'll get to that game in a moment. Assassin's Creed Odyssey is probably the most beautiful open world game I've ever seen. Well, maybe second out, because Horizon Forbidden West is like stunning. But as big as Odyssey is, I never really feel like there's a whole lot of variation. It never feels like I just want to stop and take in what's going on, because for the most part, the whole map kind of feels the same. Whether I'm in the east, north, west, I can't exactly tell where I am by looking at it, because as beautiful as it is, it still lacks the identity and character. The NPCs all dress very similarly no matter the area, the buildings can look a little repetitive, and don't get me wrong, these are parts of the map where it looks absolutely stunning, but I do look at Ubisoft and think, you guys could have gone way further. It's like a pretty person with no hobbies. It's all pretty shallow. Now, I have no evidence for this, but I do think Ubisoft is the reason as to why every publisher feels that they need to have an open world game. We simply let Ubisoft get away with so much mediocrity because we love their overarching ideas. But every now and again, there are open worlds that clearly take inspiration from Ubisoft and do it in a solid way. Because one thing that Ubisoft is good at is actually putting activities on their map. Whether you think they're worth doing or not, that's entirely up to you. But another thing I think makes a good open world is having things for you to do. And I'm gonna say that real slowly. Another thing that makes a good open world is having things to do for you. I know for a fact that you're tired of hearing that theme song in every gaming video as of recent, but I'm sorry, it's just gas. It's just so damn. When this game came out, I played it in Discord and shared my screen with my friends. Just real nerd stuff. Because this is my first Soulsborne type game, and I guess they wanted to see how bad I do, and trust me, I did pretty bad. I got to like level 80 without upgrading any weapons because I didn't know how to. And once I found out, I just kept saying. But as they were watching me, they were saying stuff like, oh wow, I didn't see that. Oh wow, you went that way, I went this way. Oh man, I didn't know this could happen to me. Or referencing back to Breath of the Wild, I saw a clip on Twitter the other day with someone unlocking a puzzle in a way that I didn't know you could do it in that way. And it's almost as if when you go outside, the main point is that everybody's day is going to be different. And those are my favorite moments in gaming. When everyone has a complete different experience in an open world, that is what makes a good open world. GTA 5 has their Strangers and Freaks mission, and they almost got it. If Rockstar can take this concept further in the next game and kind of make them feel more unscripted and more coincidental, and everyone kind of has their own different NPCs that they come across, then that's when they can really knock out the park. Because this stuff was really impressive stuff at the time. Of course, it wouldn't be an open world video if we didn't mention the king, Bethesda. Bethesda is like watching a master at work. I kind of have a lot of love and hate for Bethesda, and that's a video for another day. While Bethesda's games do plenty of things really well, I kind of like the way they do their weather and their nighttime sky, night cycle, majiggy. There's something about AI acting differently when it comes to nighttime. The streets are more empty, they all go to bed, and you can kind of sneak in and just see them sleeping and maybe just beat the fuck out of them. Speaking of AI adapting to an open world game, I'd have to look at Metal Gear Solid 5. I'm not entirely sure if you'd call it open world, I think you would, but the AI reacts to what you do in the open world, meaning if I keep shooting people in the head, after a while, the guards are going to start putting helmets on, adapting to your playstyle, making things really hard. Not hard, but just more challenging. A lot of open worlds do have the sense of backtracking, times where you see the same place twice, using the same assets, which is fine. But it's annoying when you put 60 hours into a video game and it never really feels like the enemies are really changing as much. They may get more spongier, but you yourself as a player never really feel like you have to change your playstyle or adapt to a different situation. You just have to keep pressing the RT button over and over and over and just hide and cover more. Sometimes that isn't really the most fun challenge. It's always nice to get a surprise of what your enemy could be doing this time around, even if you've gone back to this place for the 5th time. Isn't that right, Snake? He doesn't really talk much in this game. A lot of game developers like to showcase their games and say, hey, that mountain over there, you can go over there. Or they say, hey, we have 400 planets in our game, or whatever Todd Howard said about Starfield. And I'm always like, that's all well and good, but do I even really want to be over there? Like, what's over there? Is there something over there for me to do? I think my favorite open world game would probably have to be Red Dead Redemption 2's open world. Because I feel like for the most part, it has all of these things, and the random encounters are completely easy to miss. Till this day, I have never come across these incest siblings or the KKK. I've never found them, and I've played a lot. I've played this game like 3 times now. Say what you want about the linear mission structure, I probably agree with you there, but the open world of Red Dead 2, it hits that realism word for me perfectly. Seeing buildings, constructions, and seeing them just build like slowly over time, the day and night cycle for the AI, the pedestrians just looking different depending where you are in the map, the AI faces you never really see the same AI faces twice. You tell me, what do you care for in an open world game? What tickles your pickle? I'll see you in the comments, or I'll see you in the next video. Have a good night.